Tonight, we'll keep you up to date on all the latest Hollywood happenings. Eli Ralston returns with his episode of the week, and Aidan Hall will present a very presidential top 5.
All that and more is in store, so don't go anywhere because the real deal starts now.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news and movie review show. I'm Kayli Russell.
And I'm Andrew Bennett. A lot has been happening in Hollywood lately, and sometimes it feels a little overwhelming to keep up with it all. Here with the latest Hollywood headlines is Romelle Taday. What's going on this week, Romelle?
Listen up, superhero fans. Here's an update on Joss Whedon's upcoming Avengers TV series, Marvel's S.H.I.E.L.D. This past Sunday at the New York Comic-Con, Marvel officially announced that a member of the Avengers would be making an appearance on the show, despite the fact that, well, the character didn't seem to have much of a future after the Avengers film. Clark Gregg's agent Phil Coulson appeared to die in the movie, but rumors have persisted that Coulson would reappear in some form in the TV series. The New York Comic-Con made the official news, and Gregg appeared on stage, supposedly to talk about his role on the animated series Ultimate Spider-Man. But then, attendees were treated to a video showing Whedon and Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige proclaiming that Coulson would return in the series. According to comic book resources, Whedon and Feige made it clear that Coulson wouldn't just be appearing in some flashback Obi-Wan role. Feige said there was never going to be a S.H.I.E.L.D. show without Agent Phil Coulson, while Whedon added he's headlining the S.H.I.E.L.D. show and always was. Also happening at New York Comic-Con this past weekend, the trailer for the new Evil Dead remake debuted for attendees at the Evil Dead panel session led by star Jane Levy, director Fed Alvarez, and Bruce Campbell, star of the original Evil Dead trilogy and de facto mascot of all things Comic-Con. Beats of the film were familiar, such as the storyline of a group of young people going into a remote cabin. It also included the saw-assisted removal of a demonic hand and a frisky tree, which descended into extremely visceral violence that earned roars of approval from the crowd. After Campbell spent the entire panel explaining why he would not be appearing in any more Evil Dead films and why Raimi would probably never direct another one, Campbell closed the session by saying Sam Raimi is threatening from his deathbed to make one of these movies. Thus, Evil Dead 4 shall live forever in fanboys' hearts. And if there's one thing we've learned about Seth MacFarlane, from his talking teddy bear movie Ted, his TV shows Family Guy and American Dad, to his hosting of Saturday Night Live and Comedy Central's The Roast of Charlie Sheen, it's that this guy has a twisted take on almost any occasion. But for this year's Oscars, it'll just be a black tie one. Yes, you heard correctly. Seth MacFarlane will be hosting the 85th Annual Academy Awards. For MacFarlane's hosting duties, producer Neil Marin and Craig Zadin have faith that he will find the right balance between reverence and snark. And while MacFarlane's humor can skew on the strange side, he's willing to dial it down for the ceremony. The Academy Awards will air Sunday, February 24th, 2013. I'm Romelle Taday, and this has been Hollywood Headlines.
Thanks, Romelle. I'm interested to see how MacFarlane does as a host.
I think the Oscars will give him a second chance to practice finding the stage microphones. If you recall from this year's Emmys, he had a little bit of trouble. But until then, Olivia McCellan is here with the latest casting news. Take it away, Olivia.
Penelope Cruz is in talks to star in a film called Gucci, which is about the Italian family and their iconic fashion brand. The movie was written by Andrea Berloff and tells the story of Gucci's grandson, Maurizio, as he becomes heir to the family empire. He was shot to death in 1995, and his ex-wife, Patricia Reggiani, was later imprisoned for the murder. Ridley Scott was originally set to direct, but his daughter Jordan is now at the helm. Racing and car fans are sure to appreciate this next upcoming film. Ryan Reynolds will star in Battle for Bonneville, a film about two real-life half-brothers and racetrack rivals, Art and Walt Arfins, who join forces to set world speed records at the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah. Jon Favreau will direct the film, and Dan Gilroy, who also co-wrote the film The Bourne Legacy, wrote the script. This film sounds nothing like The Green Lantern, so this might be Reynolds' chance to redeem himself. James Franco, Glenn Close, and Britt Marling star in The Grace That Keeps This World, which is an adaptation of Tom Bailey's novel about a father and his sons prepping for hunting season, and a young cop's investigation into hunting violations that unearths family differences. Azazel Jacobs will direct, and the screenplay was written by Matthew Aldridge. That's it for this week's casting call. I'm Olivia McCellan.
Thanks, Olivia. It's time for our first break. When we come back, Aidan Hall will present a top 5 that will make you wish your favorite actor was running for president. But first, here's this week's box office report. Don't go anywhere.
What are you teaching these kids if you go through with it?
What am I teaching them if I don't?
I love this guy!
Hello? A human!
Hotel Transylvania.
If I kill you, your other sons will come and seek revenge.
They will.
And I will kill them too.
Welcome back. Whether you like it or not, election season is upon us. To help you survive or get you pumped for Election Day, Aidan Hall is here with this week's Top 5. Aidan?
With the election quickly approaching, and Obama and Romney fighting it out on the political stage, it's time to look back at some of Hollywood's best stars to be seated in the Oval Office. Yes, over the years, many a man and woman have donned the title of Commander-in-Chief, but only a few good men have truly blessed the red, white, and blue with their acting leadership. So I hereby take an oath to present to you the top 5 movie presidents. Number 5, Jack Nicholson in Mars Attacks. Many a president has had to deal with hardships. FDR dealt with the Great Depression and World War II. George W. Bush dealt with 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina. And President James Dale became the ambassador between us Earthlings and the maniacal Martians. Back in 1996, Jack Nicholson joined a great cast in Tim Burton's Mars Attacks as President James Dale. While the Martians may have betrayed him, he never gave up that American spirit that makes the bald eagle soar. He tried to defend little Susie and homemade apple pie from the evils of the Martian people, and that earns him the 5th spot on this very illustrious list. Number 4, Bill Pullman in Independence Day. Speaking of presidents who faced intergalactic foes, one man has stood above the rest. In 1996, one of the first big disaster movies hit theaters and sent Will Smith on an alien hunt. While Will Smith was busy shooting those cocky alien punks out of the air, Bill Pullman was playing President Thomas Whitmore, who was trying to unite the people in the fight to keep those little green men off our great Earth. He never gave up the fight, and while the Earth lay in ruin, he rose like a phoenix from the ashes and fought back against the slimy galactic creeps that had the gall to attack the great water planet. Number 3, Harrison Ford in Air Force One. When terrorists take over the Air Force One, real presidents take over. In 1997, Harrison Ford played the role of President Marshall, a president taken hostage by Russian terrorists on his own plane. While other presidents would cower or beg for their lives, President Marshall took his back by force. He showed the American can-do spirit and averted a major worldwide disaster. Whether it was the Han Solo in him reacting or it was just his childhood dream showing, Harrison Ford gives a great performance as the president that doesn't negotiate with terrorists on his own plane. Number 2, Peter Sellers in Dr. Strangelove. In 1964, the world was on the brink of nuclear war, and only Peter Sellers and his 3 roles in the iconic Dr. Strangelove could keep the world spinning. Peter Sellers portrayed beautifully the distress the president feels when the world could end in a matter of minutes. While he played 2 other roles in this Stanley Kubrick masterpiece, one being Dr. Strangelove and Captain Mandrake, it is his dark yet witty portrayal of the president that earns him the coveted number 2 spot. And at number 1, Morgan Freeman in Deep Impact. No man is suited to be president better than God himself. Yes, Morgan Freeman gave an amazing performance in the 1998 sci-fi thriller Deep Impact. The movie tells the story of a boy played by Elijah Wood who discovers a comet on collision course with the Earth and the people of the Earth's attempts to survive. It is Morgan Freeman's calm nature and soothing voice that keeps the people of Earth relaxed and hopeful in their time of need. While he doesn't punch an alien in the face or fight Russians on his plane, he faces disaster as a true leader of men and willingly accept his fate for the good of his nation. And that wraps up the top 5 movie presidents. So remember to stay educated on the real, never forget the fake, and never forget to vote. I'm Aidan Hall, and in Hollywood we trust. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Aidan. I don't know about you, but I'd like to see George Clooney run for office. He definitely has the look.
Who knows? Maybe we'll see him on the ticket in 2016. But for now, it's almost time for our next break. When we come back, Ashley Lohman will present this week's Actor Spotlight, and Chauncey Baker has a bone to pick with Hollywood. But first, here is our recommendation of the week.
Clue is the big screen adaptation of the popular murder mystery board game. It features all of the beloved characters such as Colonel Mustard, Miss Scarlet, and Professor Plum, and it follows them as they try to solve the murders that occur while they are all at the same party. When the movie was first released in 1985, it came out with 3 different conclusions, so there is no way of knowing which ending you would experience. When you watch the film on DVD, you have the option of choosing ending A, B, or C.
Featuring an all-star ensemble cast that includes Tim Curry, Christopher Lloyd, and Eileen Brennan, the movie packs in the laughs as well as the frights. Was it Mr. Green in the study with the candlestick? Hey, you'll have to see it to find out.
Every person in this room has the perfect motive.
Stand back!
For murder.
What do you mean? Murder.
But only one of these suspects is the murderer. Is it the timid Mr. Green?
Why are you screaming? Because I'm frightened! Of what? Screaming!
Or the militant Colonel Mustard?
If I was the killer, I would kill you next. Huh? I said if. If.
Mrs. White, who helped her husband on his way?
Well, it's a matter of life after death. Now that he's dead, I have a life.
Miss Scarlet, who's helped many men along the way.
Practice makes perfect. Huh.
Professor Plum, who's looking for a way.
I'm looking.
Mrs. Peacock.
I have absolutely no idea what we're doing here, but I am determined to enjoy myself.
Or did the butler do it?
No.
Paramount Pictures invite you to an evening of mystery.
Let us in! Let us in! Let us out! Let us out!
Murder.
This is getting quite serious.
And madness. In the movie that makes a scene of the crime.
So who did it?
Clue. It's not just a game anymore.
Glad you stuck around. Want to know where your favorite star got their big break? Ashley Lohman is here to tell you about an actress who had the lead role in a recent surprise hit. Ashley?
For this edition of the Actor Spotlight, I'd like to talk about an actress whose most recent role has been generating quite a lot of buzz. The role is that of a freshman who joins an all-girls singing group that's preparing for a singing competition. The film, which was actually shown here at Ball State last month, is Pitch Perfect. Whether you attended the sneak peek screening on campus or not, you've most likely seen a trailer for the movie, so you probably know that I'm talking about Anna Kendrick. However, you might not know that her acceptance of a leading role in Pitch Perfect, a film that called for a cast of strong singers, definitely wasn't by mere happenstance because she actually got her start by performing in Broadway musicals. In fact, she received her very first acting role at only 12 years old when she played Dinah Lord in the Broadway musical High Society. Her performance won her a Theatre World Award for Featured Actress in a Musical, and it also got her nominated for a Drama Desk Award and a Tony Award, making her the 3rd youngest Tony Award nominee. In 2003, she made her film debut in a movie titled Camp. This film is a musical comedy about a performing arts summer camp, so it allowed her to continue demonstrating her singing ability. Her first film performance got her a nomination for Best Supporting Actress at the 2004 Clitrudis Awards, as well as an Independent Spirit Award for Best Debut Performance. In 2007, she starred in another comedy about teens called Rocket Science. This film didn't incorporate singing, but her acting alone got her another nomination for an Independent Spirit Award for Best Supporting Actress. Later in the same year, she received the role of Jessica Stanley, Bella Swan's friend from the Twilight series. Of course, this role has given her some nominations and awards for each of the Twilight films as well. However, her big breakthrough performance was that of Natalie Keener in the 2009 romantic drama Up in the Air. This film, which she starred in alongside George Clooney, got her nominations from the Golden Globes, the Screen Actors Guild, and the Academy Awards. Since then, she's been in various films, including Scott Pilgrim vs. the World with Michael Cera, 50-50 with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen, What to Expect When You're Expecting, and even a voice acting role in Paranorman. She has even more movies on the way, too. Rapture Palooza is a comedic horror flick due for release before the end of the year, and the two comedies, Get a Job and Drinking Buddies, are due for 2013 releases. I don't know about you, but I've enjoyed her comedic performances thus far, so I'm really looking forward to even more laughs from Miss Kendrick. This has been the Actor Spotlight. I'm Ashley Lohman.
Thanks, Ashley. It's nice to see someone from the Twilight cast go on to bigger and, needless to say, better things.
Ouch. Before you go into a tirade about Twilight, let's instead hear what Chauncey Baker is irked about this week. Take it away, Chauncey.
Hollywood and video games have a relationship analogous to mixing fire and gasoline together. Just look at the countless video game tie-ins based on blockbuster films. I can literally count on one hand how many of these games are actually decent. What's even more disastrous, however, is when a film is based on an established video game franchise. Many video games and film enthusiasts alike, including myself, lie awake at night for fear of having dreams of one man, Uwe Boll. This director of such masterpieces like House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, In the Name of the King, and everyone's favorite, Blood Rain, continually makes movies based on games. He uses his films using a German tax shelter that guarantees back at least 50% of the production costs. Take his 2003 film House of the Dead, based on an arcade game of the same name. The film literally inserts shots of in-game footage in between the cheaply shot action sequences. It cost Boll $12 million to make the film, and by the time it was finished at the theaters, it made $13 million. Due to the tax shelter, he received $6 million on top of the $13 million it made, plus DVD sales. His shady business practices essentially enables him to continue making films despite the critical and box office performances. Another beef I have with Boll is his use of deliberately edgy material. His 2007 film Postal, based on an obnoxiously violent video game, which is darkly humorous, contained funny sequences of terrorists crashing into the planes during 9/11. Really, Uwe? Oh, let's make light out of an American tragedy that occurred less than 12 years before. While South Park makes fun of serious issues in a humorous light, this surpassed Trey Parker and Matt Stone in the tasteless department. On top of being a terrible filmmaker, he's quite a bit of a crybaby. He offered his critics to put up or shut up by facing him in a boxing ring. The critics that took him up on his offer lost to him in the ring, but this proves how much of a bully he is to anyone who has anything critical to say about him. Simply put, the only way to stop this madman is to stop watching his films. Stop renting them and stop viewing them on Netflix. It only sends more money his way. I'm Chauncey Baker, and this has been The Rant. I also may get a left hook to the jaw by Uwe Boll.
Thanks, Chauncey. It's time for our last break, but when we return, Eli Ralston will tell us which TV show came out on top in tonight's installment of Episode of the Week, and Kayli and I will give you our final word. Stay tuned.
I'm going to enjoy this.
I've got to get inside his head. Where would he be?
He's already in the building. Move! Let me see your hands!
Come on now. You can do better than that.
I don't want you to get hurt.
Welcome back. With so many good shows on TV now, it's hard to pick a favorite. Eli Ralston is here to make things easier for you with his recap of the week in television and the show that came out on top. Eli?
Hey guys, Eli here. I'm back to give you the best that TV has to offer with my episode of the week. Now, before I start off with my first choice, I'm going to ask one question. Why has no one told me about Dexter? This show is fantastic, and I have no idea how this show was able to get under my radar of good TV shows to watch. Now, if you're like I was and had never seen the show before, let me catch you up. This show is about a man named Dexter who works for the Miami Police Department, whose adopted father, who at an early age discovered that he was going to become a serial killer, decided to teach him to kill other serial killers instead of innocent people. So he's a serial killer. Confusing, right? Well, now that you're kind of caught up, I'm going to get to my actual choice for the week, which was the Season 7 premiere. For this episode, we found that Dexter had just killed Travis Marshall, a serial killer from the season before. And right as he killed him, he was caught by Deb, another officer who he was very close to in the police department. When I saw the first scene of this show where Dexter was trying to explain himself to Deb, I was a bit worried because I thought they were going to play sort of a cat and mouse game throughout the rest of the season that would just drag on and on. But instead of that, Deb decided to start asking the hard questions. Why was he wearing an apron? Why did he have a knife? Why was there plastic? Why did it seem all meticulously planned out? It seemed too perfectly planned to be a rage killing. Dexter had a couple of dodgy answers for this, but it was pretty apparent that none of it was really getting into Deb's head. Now, the rest of the episode was still pretty good. The introduction of Mike, another officer who was just killed, and a Ukrainian crime syndicate was still pretty interesting to watch and had a nice little crime show feel to it. But still, the best part of the episode was the back and forth going on between Deb and Dexter. Because even while they were at the crime scene, there was still a lot of tension going on between these two. And you could tell that things aren't going to be normal between them since, Deb saw him kill someone. I'm not going to do much detail about what else happened in the episode because I'm going to let you watch that for yourself. But I'll just tell you one thing. There's a couple more deaths. Other than that, I'm really impressed with the Season 7 premiere. It's rare that I can start watching a show at the 7th season and have it drag me in and make me want to watch the rest of the episodes. And being up to Season 3, I can already tell you that I am in love with this show. My runner-up for this week's episode of the week was the newest episode of South Park entitled Raising the Bar. Now, you may be thinking, why would he pick South Park as an episode of the week? Well, with this episode centered around the horror of TV shows like Honey Boo Boo, Breaking Amish, shows on the Learning Channel, this episode could have really gone back to South Park's normality of just wanting to make fun of that stuff and not really have a point behind it. And with Matt and Trey Parker, that could have been really easy for them. But thankfully, this show decided to go a different route and instead blame the people who were truly responsible, the viewers. The show still mocks terrible shows that are on TV, mainly mocking Honey Boo Boo, which is still really funny to watch. But the main idea of the episode is the fact that the bar for what we find acceptable on TV has been lowered to a very, very scary low. Now, this was a very nice change of pace from the normal things we see on South Park, especially from last season. And there was a little hint at the end of the episode that maybe South Park's lowbrow entertainment could have been the cause of this. And hopefully this is a sign that they will change things. There you are. There are my two choices for episodes that you really need to watch this week. I'm Eli, and I'm reminding you to keep watching TV. Now, if you excuse me, I've got some Dexter to watch.
Thanks, Eli. And now it's time to wrap things up with our final word. After you, Kayli.
Well, if you're a sucker for nostalgia like I am, you will probably enjoy Disney's Wreck-It Ralph, which premieres in theaters on November 2nd. Wreck-It Ralph takes viewers on a journey through arcade games of every generation. Ralph, voiced by John C. Reilly, is tired of being the bad guy, so he hops through arcade games to prove he has what it takes to be a hero. The movie also stars Jack McBrayer, Jane Lynch, and Sarah Silverman. This animated movie looks incredibly cute from the trailer. It features many well-known video game characters such as Pac-Man, Bowser, and Sonic the Hedgehog. Although I'm not a video game fanatic, it will be fun to see the games that I played as a kid make a cameo in this movie. I think Wreck-It Ralph will not only be a hit with younger kids, but with their parents and our generation as well. So watch out for this movie this November.
A few weeks ago on The Real Deal, I talked about my great anticipation for the film Looper, directed by Rian Johnson. After finally seeing it, I am happy to report that my anticipation was well warranted. Looper is an incredibly entertaining and intelligent movie, and it took me places I wasn't expecting. It is conceptually big, bold, and brave enough to stand alongside sci-fi classics such as The Terminator, Back to the Future, and 12 Monkeys. However, the universe Rian Johnson has created in Looper is very unique and stands alone. The performances are all top-notch here, especially Joseph Gordon-Levitt as the protagonist, who plays a younger version of Bruce Willis's character. It is eerie how much Gordon-Levitt resembled Willis in physicality and personality. The prosthetic work was phenomenal, but Gordon-Levitt nails Willis's facial expressions and dialect perfectly. I believe Looper will one day be considered a sci-fi classic, so see it now while it's still in theaters. It's one of those movies you will want to experience again for the first time once the credits begin to roll.
Well, that's it for this week. Be sure to check out our Facebook and Twitter pages for updates on all things entertainment. Until next time, I'm Kayli Russell.
And I'm Andrew Bennett. See you in 2 weeks.